Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine waking up to the news. FBI searching the home and office of a former national security advisor.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened this past Friday, August 22nd, 2025, to John Bolton.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty big development.
Huge. So today we're doing a deep dive into this FBI activity around John Bolton, the former NSA under Trump.
Right.
And this isn't just some headline, is it? It feels, well, multi-layered. There's history, politics, national security stuff all tangled up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really cuts to the core of how power, information, accountability, how all that works or sometimes doesn't at the very top.
Yeah.
So our mission for you today really is to try and cut through some of that noise, get past the breaking news flashes. We want to help you understand the what, the why, and maybe most importantly, the so what of all this.
Right. What does it mean?
Exactly. We'll connect the dots using the sources you have so you can hopefully grasp the full picture, why this feels so significant right now.
Okay, let's do it. So Friday morning, what exactly went down? It sounds like it was pretty visible.
It was around 7 a.m. Friday, August 22nd, the FBI executed these searches. And crucially, they were court authorized.
Oh, okay. So warrants involved?
Yes. And not just one place. Two very sensitive locations. Bolton's home in Bethesda, Maryland,
Right.
and his office in Washington, D.C.
Both. Wow.
Both. And the sources we have indicate this is part of an ongoing national security investigation.
Okay.
The focus really seems to be on potential mishandling or unauthorized disclosure of classified documents, which, for someone like Bolton,
Yeah, with his background, that's incredibly serious.
extremely serious. And the scene itself, particularly at the house in Bethesda, was, well, telling.
How so?
Agents were seen bringing in bags. Now, that suggests they were prepared to collect materials, though. Important to note, nothing was publicly confirmed as actually removed right then.
Okay, so they were equipped, but we don't know what they took, if anything.
Precisely. And interestingly, Bolton wasn't home when they arrived.
Oh, okay.
But he was seen later, spotted talking with FBI agents in the lobby of his D.C. office building.
The lobby. So quite public.
Quite public. And here's a key point for you. Despite all this activity, these searches, Bolton wasn't arrested. He wasn't detained.
Right. That's critical.
It strongly suggests that, at this point anyway, it's investigative.
Yeah.
Gathering information, not necessarily bringing immediate charges.
Okay, investigative phase. But still, a very public search of a former NSA. And as you said, there's history here. This isn't completely out of the blue, is it? It ties back to, well, his book.
It absolutely does.
So, yeah.
Yeah, the current events, while new, they definitely echo past controversies. What's really fascinating is how this current inquiry seems, in part at least, to resurrect elements of that 2020 probe.
The one about his memoir, The Room Where It Happened.
Exactly. You probably remember the splash it made. The Trump administration actually sued him over it.
Right. They alleged it contained classified stuff he hadn't gotten cleared.
That was the claim. It was a major legal fight at the time.
So his book has been a flashpoint before. What happened with that first investigation? You said it was dropped.
It was, yeah. That initial probe, the lawsuit, and the investigation tied to it, it was dropped under the Biden administration in 2021.
Okay.
So for a while, it seemed like maybe that whole issue was, put to rest. Different priorities, maybe a different legal view.
But now it's back. Or something related is back.
Well, that's the thing. Officials are now suggesting, hinting really, that the current investigation might actually go beyond just the memoir.
Ah, okay. Wider scope.
Potentially. They're talking about possibly encompassing broader leaks. It suggests the FBI might be casting a much wider net this time around.
So the book could be the starting point or maybe a catalyst, but they might be looking into other things too.
That seems to be the implication, yes.
Yeah.
A potentially broader range of sensitive information could be under scrutiny.
Okay, so for you listening, we've got this new search clearly linked to an old fight over the memoir, but maybe, just maybe, expanding beyond it.
Right.
And of course, something like this doesn't happen quietly. The political reaction must have been immediate.
Oh, absolutely. Instantaneous and intense. This is where the politics really flare up.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate for you, we're here to report on these reactions from the sources, not to, endorse any specific side.
Of course. Impartially reporting what was said.
Exactly. And what was said showed a really stark divide, very polarized responses from key figures.
Okay, let's start with former President Trump. What was his take?
Well, he spoke to reporters later on Friday. He said he was completely unaware of the searches beforehand.
claimed he learned about it from TV.
That's what he said, yes. But he definitely had strong words for Bolton himself, called him a lowlife and very unpatriotic.
Wow. Okay, strong language. And context here is key, right? Bolton's become a major critic of Trump.
A very vocal critic. That history definitely adds, let's say, a layer of complexity to Trump's comments.
No doubt. But what about support for the FBI action? Did anyone speak out in favor?
Yes, quite prominently. We saw support from figures often described as being in Trump's inner circle, interestingly.
Oh.
Like who?
Well, FBI Director Kash Patel, for instance. He posted on X, no one is above the law at FBI agents on mission. A pretty clear endorsement. And Vice President J.D. Vance, Attorney General Pam Bondi, they echoed that kind of sentiment, affirming justice would be, carried out faithfully.
And you said these are figures close to Trump.
Our sources describe Patel, Vance, and Bondi as central in Trump's inner circle, yes. So their strong support for this FBI action against Bolton.
It adds a fascinating wrinkle, doesn't it?
It certainly does. More complex than just simple law enforcement support.
Right.
But not everyone was supportive. There were critics raising concerns.
Definitely. Concerns about political motivation were voiced pretty quickly.
Okay.
Meghan Hayes, who used to advise President Biden, she framed the raid as potentially politically charged and retaliatory.
Suggesting payback.
That's the implication. And Congressman Roger Christian-Worthy, he suggested something else, that maybe the raid was a kind of diversion.
A diversion from what?
From the ongoing focus on Epstein-related documents, raising questions about the timing and maybe the underlying political motives.
Okay, so very different interpretations flying around. Retaliation, diversion.
Exactly, a real split.
This clear divide, these strong reactions. It really seems to highlight what our sources are calling that fragile intersection of national security and political dynamics.
Yeah.
Can you unpack that a bit? What makes it so fragile right now?
Yeah, that phrase really captures it. This whole situation throws that fragile intersection into sharp relief. For you, it's not just about Bolton the individual.
Right.
It's part of this larger ongoing tension. How do you balance genuine national security needs against the constant possibility, or at least the perception, of political influence, especially with former high-level officials?
And why fragile now?
Well, I think the level of political polarization, the erosion of trust across the aisle. It means almost any action involving sensitive matters and political figures is immediately viewed through a partisan lens.
So accusations of weaponizing law enforcement fly easily.
Very easily, from all sides, depending on the situation. It makes navigating that intersection incredibly difficult.
And Bolton's own journey, from White House insider to very public Trump critic, how does that specific path affect things here?
Oh, hugely. That transition absolutely puts him, as the sources say, in the crosshairs of renewed scrutiny.
Right.
Because he's not just any former official. He's one who actively, publicly challenges the former president he served.
So the investigation instantly becomes more politically charged.
Exactly. Regardless of the pure legal merits, which are still unclear, his specific stance allows interpretations, retaliation from one side, justified scrutiny of a turncoat from the other that might not apply so readily elsewhere.
It layers political messaging onto a legal process.
Precisely. Makes it very hard to untangle the two in the public eye.
And this also seems to tap into that broader recurring theme, the ongoing tensions surrounding the handling of classified materials.
Yeah.
We seem to hear about this a lot with former administrations.
We really do. It feels like a persistent, maybe even escalating challenge.
Why is that, do you think?
Well, it points to a few things, probably. The sheer volume of classified information, the complexities of declassification, the handoffs between administrations, maybe breakdowns in established processes. And when those systems seem to fail, or are perceived to fail, it raises fundamental questions about how we manage sensitive data and the potential risks to national security. It's about process, oversight, and ultimately trust.
And while the official line is legality in national security, critics, as we heard, warn about the potential misuse of law enforcement for political ends. What's supposed to stop that? What are the checks?
That's a fundamental question for our system, isn't it? Ideally, you have judicial oversight. The need for court-authorized warrants, like we saw here, is a key check. The Justice Department and FBI also have internal rules, ethical guidelines, meant to ensure investigations are impartial, based on facts and law, not politics.
But in this kind of charged atmosphere.
Right. In a highly polarized environment, the perception of those checks can become almost as important as their actual function. If public trust is low, even by-the-book actions can be seen through a political, skeptical lens.
So concerns about fairness and accountability can arise even if procedures were followed.
They absolutely can. It's a constant tightrope walk for law enforcement and the justice system.
And just to underline the significance here, it's worth remembering Bolton's long career. This isn't someone new to Washington.
Not at all. He's a veteran. Decades in foreign policy circles.
Served under Reagan, George W. Bush, UN ambassador.
Right, plus national security advisor under Trump. A very long resume at the highest levels.
So that deep background, combined with, the controversial book and his very public criticisms of Trump, it makes this whole situation uniquely charged legally and politically.
It really does. It sets it apart.
Okay, so where do things stand right now as of Friday afternoon when these reports came out?
The key thing is no charges. John Bolton remained uncharged and free.
So purely investigative action by the FBI at this point?
That's how it appears, yes.
Yeah.
No public indication of formal accusations being filed. It suggests the process is ongoing.
Definitely an unfolding story then, not the end of the chapter.
Far from it, I'd imagine.
Okay. So just to recap for everyone listening, we've unpacked the FBI searching John Bolton's home and office. We've looked at the roots in that earlier probe about his memoir. We've explored the really starkly divided political reactions from Trump to his allies to critics raising alarms.
Right, the whole spectrum.
And we considered the bigger picture, what this says about national security, political power, and handling classified information in today's climate.
Yeah, hopefully this deep dive gives you a more comprehensive picture than just the headlines. We try to connect the dots from the sources you've got to give you that fuller context, the nuance behind this really significant event.
It's complex stuff.
It really is. And it leaves us, and you, with a pretty important question to think about, doesn't it?
Which is?
How do we, as citizens trying to stay informed, how do we navigate this? How do we distinguish between legitimate national security actions and things that might be or might just look like politically motivated moves?
Especially when it involves classified information, past presidents, current investigations.
Exactly. It's a tangled web. And figuring out how to assess these situations, how to separate the strands, that feels more critical than ever as these kinds of stories seem likely to continue. Yeah. Something for you to definitely mull over.